Director General of Irrigation Dr. G.G.A. Gurliad states that water levels are decreasing rapidly in reservoirs that do not come under the Mahavali system. He stated that the situation would be critical if there is no rain in the near future.
The Director General of Irrigation stated that water levels were receding in several reservoirs in Pulanarwa, Anuradhapura, Kurunagala and Kaluthura due to evaporation caused by the dry weather conditions. As a result, farmers who depend on these reservoirs are facing severe hardship. The Director General of Irrigation said that between 8 to 10 millimeters of water is lost due to evaporation daily. Reservoirs island-wide are at 55% of capacity, but due to the limited water resources in all these areas, the water levels of reservoirs are decreasing rapidly. Heightened evaporation has aggravated the problem. At present, about 8 to 10 millimeters of water is lost daily due to evaporation. Yesterday, we reported that farmers depend upon reservoirs fed up by the Mahavali River were facing immense difficulties. The available water is being distributed very carefully. We are hoping to maintain these 625,000 acres or 85% of the fields without drastically affecting the water levels by extending the time periods between water distribution and by holding discussions with the farmers. The Parakrama Samudra, which is the largest reservoir in the country, currently holds 41,000 acre-feet of water. This footage bears testament to the hardships being faced by farmers in most areas of the island dependent upon the waters of the Mahavali and other irrigation schemes. They asked us to grow paddy in the paddy fields and dry crops on dry lands. We only received water thrice. There has been little or no water for about 12 to 18 days. Now the crops are dead. We bore a great expense and labor to cultivate this land.
Now we have no money either. All we can do is look to the gods.
An ordinary person spends about 15,000 rupees per harvest simply to till the fields. When you include fuel and fertilizer costs, it is about 50,000. We cultivated with the expectation that we would receive water, but there was no water. I have a farming well which had about 20 feet of water, but you need about 4 liters of kerosene to work it. When you look at the kerosene prices, this can probably continue for 2 more months. If this is the case, it would be useless even if I was selling onions for 100 rupees. Given the current situation, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board prepared to provide drinking water without restriction. If the waters in the rivers recede to a critical level, we may have to temporarily dam them. Also, we can make a request to the CEB and the Mahavali Authority to release more water from the reservoirs. With the daily use of electricity between 27 and 34 gigawatts per hour, can the country's electricity needs be met by thermal power plants alone if the hydropower plants are affected? Normally, hydropower supplies 7 gigawatts per hour. If for some reason maintenance work is needed at a thermal power plant or if operations are obstructed in some way, it will have a minor effect on some areas. But the main factor to be considered here is a cost which will have to be borne due to heavy fuel consumption at thermal power plants. This is where the problem is. What preparations have the Disaster Management Center made given the current situation? We are preparing the public at district level in the event a drought is declared. In such an event, all response systems and other preparations have been made.
Still in local news, a one-day seminar titled Tagore and Sri Lanka was held today in Colombo as part of the 150th birth anniversary celebrations of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. The event was jointly organized by the Indian Cultural Centre in Colombo, the Lakshman Khadragama Institute of International Relations and Strategic Studies, and the Centre for Contemporary Indian Studies at the University of Colombo.
Tagore's visits and his extensive interactions with artists and literary personalities of Sri Lanka significantly contributed to the country's cultural resurgence. We are aware that many leading artists like Ananda Samarkund, Chitrasena and Sunil Shanta attended Vishwabharati and interacted closely with Tagore, and they themselves ventured forth and created new genres in artistic rediscovery and cultural resurgence of Sri Lanka.
A new UNP branch office was declared open in the Veerakodiyana area in the Kurunagal district by parliamentarian Dayasiri Jayasekara yesterday.
Today, can't go and meet the Queen of Britain. They were to meet with the businessmen during the trip last week, but even this was cancelled. Why? Now where are people like Vimal Veeravansa who called for a boycott of Google? If by chance Ranil Wickremesinghe went for the Diamond Jubilee celebrations of the Queen, how would they have reacted? By now they would have flattened Ranil Wickremesinghe. Now where are the Hello Urumia people? Why are they not saying that our went and shook hands with an imperialist? Did anyone oppose it? If our leader went, they would say that he is bowing down to the imperialists. But when they go, there is no issue.
The Pugod appear on the Kalani River. Area residents engage in a fervent search for gold. Area residents prohibited from prospecting for gold in the Kalani River. Licenses issued for gold panning. What is the situation today? It is useless. There is no gold here even in name. There is no gold here to even cover the license fee. When issuing the permits, we at the Bureau were not concerned about earning a revenue. We don't see any increase in the number of those arriving to obtain permits. The number of those engaged in this task is also on the decrease.
Four senior Deputy Inspector Generals of Police have been transferred with immediate effect. Police media spokesperson SP Ajit Rohana stated that these transfers have been made on service requirements. Accordingly, Senior DIG in charge of the Northwestern Province, Pujita Jayasundara, has been transferred as the Senior DIG in charge of the Eastern Province. Senior DIG Jagat Abesiri Gunawardana, who was in charge of the Eastern Province, has been put in charge of the Northern Province. Senior DIG in charge of the Sabaragamuwa Province, Ashoka Vijay Tilaka, has been transferred as the Senior DIG in charge of the Northwestern Province, while Senior DIG of the North Central Province, CD Vikramaratna, has been transferred as the Senior DIG of Sabaragamuwa. You're with News First. Up next is a look at Action TV.
When issues crop up pertaining to the licenses that have been given for the use of state land under the Land Development Ordinance, it is the divisional secretaries that have been entrusted with the responsibility of solving them. Incidentally, a ban on cultivation can also be issued by the secretary in the event of a land dispute. However, this letter that has been issued by the Land Commissioner in the Northwestern Province on the 1st of June to the Nikavarataya Divisional Secretary states that it is not fair to impose a ban when cultivation has been carried out in line with the license that has been issued. It was on the 24th of April that the Divisional Secretary imposed a ban on cultivation in this paddy field. This ban was issued when this widow, who cultivated this paddy field for a period of 30 years, attempted to cultivate the land this time around as well. The letter dated 1st of June, which had been issued by the Northwestern Land Commissioner, stated that the Divisional Secretary has not forwarded a recommendation report when imposing the ban on cultivation at this paddy field. The Divisional Secretary, when imposing the ban, had informed the Nikavarataya Divisional Agrarian Officer not to issue the fertilizer subsidy for this paddy field. However, fertilizer had been issued to this paddy field as the instructions given by the Divisional Secretary are contrary to the 451 circular issued on the 1st of March 2012 by the Secretary to the Ministry of Agrarian Services. However, an individual or a group had sprayed weedicide on this paddy field, leaving nothing to be harvested. This individual, in her complaint that was lodged with the Nicaragua police, had stated that a government officer had threatened her that such destruction will be carried out.
My husband is not here, so I was afraid. This is what we live off. There were 6 children. Altogether, there are 7 of us, and there is no patriarch. Therefore, I was afraid.
In such a background, shouldn't legal action be taken against those responsible for the destruction of this paddy field? Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Northwestern Province, this one is over to you.
Renowned investment strategist Michael Press says that it is important for Sri Lanka to grow its capital market. In an interview with News First, Michael Press said that Sri Lanka should focus on growing the local economy through its capital market.
From Sri Lanka's point of view, it's very important to grow the capital market, because now the country is in a new chapter and it's important to grow the local economy through the capital market. When the market in the global economy is nervous, people usually tend to buy dollars and sell everything else. I mean, even in Sri Lanka, the stock market declined rapidly. The currency weakened, not just because of the local situation, but of the global situation. But I think in Sri Lanka's case, I suppose it's one of taking the economy to the new level. And I think this is why bond issues are important, and also to some extent build more of a local investor base, and also build more of a deeper capital market. So we need more IPOs, we need more companies to issue corporate bonds, and in particular with regards to hopefully one day become self-reliant with funding. That you can fund your economic development from your local capital pool, right? And I think this is what everybody's working on. And I think the central bank is doing the right thing in making the rupee more freely tradable.